Hey, Power Quiet community. I got a special guided meditation for you that was done during a recent class on the power of loving yourself. And I want to share this with you because this will give you a clear perspective and lift you to a place of freedom from thoughts of limitation so that you can recognize the power that you have inside of yourself already, right now. And you don't need to know anything special about releasing. You don't need to know any particular techniques or practices in order to follow along. Just by following along, what you're going to hear, you're going to find that you already know for yourself. And just by listening, you're going to remember that you already know this stuff. It's just a re-remembrance of who you are. So just sit back, relax, follow along, and don't mind the cat. She likes to come and hang out and meditate with us too. And just see what you discover about yourself. Check this out. Okay, so close your eyes. And get a picture of your mind, whatever that looks like to you. And could you let that picture evaporate and dissolve? Just get in touch with your mind and let it go. Let it disappear. And let that picture evaporate and dissolve even more. And even more. And even more. And get a picture of your body. Could you let that picture evaporate and dissolve? And could you let it dissolve some more? And some more. And some more. And get a picture of your identity. Just get a picture of how you see yourself, who you are. What do you look like to you? Could you allow that picture to evaporate and dissolve? And more. And more. And more. And more. And get a picture of the world that you're living in. the whole universe, whatever that looks like to you. You're living in this world. Just get a picture of it. And could you let it dissolve? Let the whole thing evaporate away. And could you let it evaporate and dissolve even more? And even more. And more. And let it dissolve. And notice what's left. After you let go of the mind, the body, the ego, identity, the world, what remains? The thing that remains, that you cannot let go of, that will never disappear. I. Focus on I. 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 What is the lesson here? Stop identifying with that which you are not. Because all of those things, the mind, the body, the story, the world, it all constantly changes. Nothing's permanent there. Everything ends. So why keep investing yourself into something that's going to crumble away? That it started crumbling away the moment it was created. It can't sustain itself. And why draw value out of these things that are unsustainable and unreal? Holding on to them like they're important and fighting bitterly over them. And every single one of us is doing this. You're not alone. But you alone can make the decision to let it all go. So what are you going to do? Are you still going to fight and hold on to your lifestyle, to your identity, to your individuality, to the things that you declare to be special, and argue and fight for those things? I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep holding on. Even feeling justified. It's family. I can't let go of that part of my story. That would be inhuman. But look at everything that you're holding on to. Even the nearest and dearest is going to be gone. And you're going to be gone. And yet that I will still remain. Now, whether you believe in reincarnation or not, it doesn't matter. You know that the I remains, and you know that the ego isn't just going to disappear on its own. You created that thing. If you keep holding on to it, you're going to need it. And you're going to need to recreate it again and again and again. For what? So you could feel happy? Special? Because you're determined? You're going to make this ego story the best story ever. And once you've made it a blockbuster, and you've done 10 sequels about it, the final one being the best of all the sequels, right, then you'll finally decide, okay, enough's enough. I'll go for freedom now. No, you're still going to be sucked into it. You have to stand up to everything that your ego's telling you. You better hold on. This world is real. Those people are real. The struggle is real. And that ego's convinced you of these lies. Now, along comes a Lester, and he tells you the world is just a dream. No different than a night dream. And there is nobody out there but you. So what you're doing is you're playing pretend. Swearing that it's real. And afraid to give it up. So the choice is yours. And it's a choice to be courageous. Because along comes Lester. He gives a completely different picture of what's going on. And even to the logical mind, you cannot refute that. You can't say for sure, well, the world is real and what Lester's saying is false. How do you know? Everything that you experience in the world It's just electrical impulses in your brain. For all you know, you could just be in a pod in the matrix. But you do know there is that I that never changes. And you've been getting in touch with that again and again and again. So maybe there's some truth to what Lester says. Now, a lot of us, we say, I want what Lester has. I want to be like Lester. What a role model. What a great dude. And yet, a lot of people go around talking about him, praising him, respecting him, but not listening to him. And not doing what he's saying to do. Right? We're still listening to our ego. Yeah, that sounds great. Right? But I sure love that pizza. I sure want to hold on to those people, even though they drive me crazy. They're special to me. I need them, and they need me. And all you have to do is just examine the story. And isn't it just a story? The whole thing. Your experience and the value of it. It's just a story that you've been crafting and telling to yourself. And in that story, you see, you have not been able to satisfy yourself. That's what brought you here. What brought you to Lester. And there's part of you that's looking at the world and looking at that story and realizing that ain't right. Now, all that brings is misery. And I'm the one who's doing it. Aren't you? It's your story that you created. The question is, are you willing to be courageous enough to let it all go? Let that great story be unfinished. Let those wonderful experiences just disappear. Be of the past, long forgotten, never to be had again. After all, what's wrong with hanging out in the eye? What's wrong with that? A few moments ago, when you're saying to yourself, I, wasn't that nice? And calming and expanding? Wouldn't you rather have that? Or would you rather have the agitation? So what are you still holding on to? Are you still holding on to your mind? Still believing that it's your friend and you need it? Are you still holding on to your body? You can't imagine how you would exist without it. Are you still holding on to your story? Because you've been working on it for centuries. Are you still holding on to the world? Hoping that it is really real. That it can give you pleasure. Along with 10 times more misery. But hey, that pleasure. What are you still holding on to? Could you let go of that? Just let go of holding on now. Let yourself be free. And let go some more. And let go holding on some more. And let it go. What else are you holding on to? Maybe you're holding on to an idea of what it means to be spiritual. You've listened to so many talks of Lester, you've read so many books from Eckhart Tolle. You know everything about it. You got it all figured out. Guess what? The mind will never know. No matter what you picked up from Eckhart Tolle, you won't see it the way he sees it until you completely let go and see it with your own eyes. But right now you're relying on your mind to tell you what it's all about. Your mind does not know. No matter how much it thinks it does. And for all you know from your mind, all of those guys are charlatans. They never did anything that they're talking about. You just believe in them. So either find out for yourself or stop talking about it. Stop using the talking and the believing and the thinking as a substitute for doing it yourself. So could you let go of holding on to everything you know about spirituality? Just let it go. Let go of being so smart and allow it to be other than what you think it is. That program that the ego has to protect itself is strong, it's insidious, and it's sneaky. Even with the simplest method, That ego can twist it and complicate it. And that's with the simplest of methods. Look at all those complicated methods out there and all the egos that are twisting those around. And it's a wonder why so many quote-unquote spiritual people never go free. But you can. Just look at yourself. Let go of being so smart. Let that knowledge go. And let it go some more. And some more. And some more. And see if you're holding on to your past experiences and revelations, insights. And insight is great. It's great to have discrimination. And it's great to recognize when you've made a shift. But oftentimes, when we get an insight, we want to talk about it. Oh, look what I figured out. I can talk about freedom like this, and I can use this analogy, and I know this. And then that past experience, you build a story, and that becomes a substitute. If you have an insight, recognize it, yeah, that's nice, then let it go and move on. Because you know what that is otherwise? It's pride. Right? You wanting to hold on to a past accomplishment, a past insight, and keep talking about it. And keep wanting to get credit for it. Look at how wise I am. Look at what I know. Look at me. Nobody cares. Just let it go. Let it dissolve. And take a look at what you're holding on to out of fear. Fear for keeping yourself surviving. And that fear has kept you from really letting go. Only letting go a little bit here, a little bit there. But stopping you from just letting it all go. Take a look at that fear. And are you going to let the fear stop you? And what is the fear? Even if it's a fear for survival, it's a feeling. Why are you going to let a feeling stop you from having the ultimate? Why let the fear have you settle for just a piece of the pie? Right? You know, like Lester put it, he didn't just settle for a piece of the pie, he went for the whole thing. Are you willing to do that? And if the fear is just a feeling, can't you just welcome up the feeling and let it pass through? How difficult is that? It's not so scary. Find out for yourself. Bring it up. Could you let the fear go? And could you let it go some more? And some more. And some more. And some more. And some more. And what is your biggest fear? Is it dying? Now, I know a lot of spiritual people who would say, I have no fear of dying. And then to that I ask, well, how do you feel about suffering? Oh, I wouldn't want that. Oh, maybe that's the same thing. But what is the biggest thing that you're afraid of? If it's not dying, maybe it's suffering. Or maybe it's being stuck for eternity, trapped. Maybe it's the fear of being alone. After all, Lester said, there's no one else out there but you. And when you get to the end of the line, you'll see that it's just you and you all alone. Who wants that? I need entertainment. I need company. I need another body to keep me warm. I need someone to take care of me and love me and listen to my silly jokes. So even though I say, yeah, I believe in Lester, but damned if I will go there myself. So you got to look at yourself. Take responsibility. What are you holding on to? So bring up that biggest fear. And what is it right now? It's certainly not the thing that you're afraid of. Are you being tortured right now? Did you disappear? Or is it just a feeling of fear? How about welcoming that up now? And finally, once and for all, let the whole thing go. Bring it up. Let that fear pass through. And let it pass through some more. And some more. And bring up some more. Bring it all up. Don't save some for later. Just in case. Oh, this fear's so good, I'm going to cultivate it. Right? Like a yeast. It's a family tradition. It's been in your family for centuries. I'm going to save some. So I can cultivate it and have enough bread to feed my family for generations. Now let it all go. Bring up all that fear. It's just a feeling. Open up, watch it pass through until it's all gone. And what remains beyond the fear? Are you? Are you? Are you? Are you? Are you? The I never changes. The fear comes and goes. It's not real. Stop letting that stop you. Just get a picture of your biggest fear and stand up to it. Be open to it. Surrender to it. That's how you stand up to it. Not through resistance, but being open, saying, have your way with me. I surrender to you. And you quickly see it cannot touch you because it's not real. So take another thing that you're afraid of. Maybe you're afraid of losing everything. Losing everything that's precious to you. And what is that right now in this moment? It's a picture, story in your head. Could you let go of being so smart? And let it be other than what you think it is. And if you think you're going to disappear, well, the only way to find out what's true about that is letting yourself disappear. And letting the world disappear, right? Can you just let it all disappear? And be open to that. Surrender to it. And let it all disappear a little bit more. And let it disappear a little bit more. And more. It gets nicer, doesn't it? And it gets quieter. And don't you feel more whole and safer? So everything that your mind is telling you that you should be afraid of, that's scary, turns out to be the opposite when you go and investigate for yourself. None of that stuff your mind is scaring you with is true. There's only one truth, that which never changes, the I. So let yourself settle into I now. And just choose the I above everything else. That's choosing imperturbability above everything else. And focus on I. 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 And now, just imagine your eyes opening. And whether you have a body or not, you are. There's always I. How did you like that meditation? And if you recognize that you really are in charge, not your mind, but you. And you recognize also that there is a lot of junk in your mind that in some way you're going to have to take responsibility and clean up. Then I invite you to join me in the next course, the Conscious Creation Master Course, which is a very proactive course on freedom that will get you to bring up all of your thoughts of limitations by focusing on goals. So you could set goals and recognize the limitations that are in the way and knock those out so that you could have those goals literally just fall right into your lap. If that's of interest to you, then click above here or in the description below and join us for the Conscious Creation Master Course.